A technical model allows the coach to explain performance from a technique. It is what the perfect model of the skill is and gives the performers of an idea in their mind how the skill should look when they do it. It is also typically more qualitative than mechanical. A performer can find out or decide what the perfect technique is for what that skill is. So if it's like a basketball shot or something like that, by watching a video of an elite performer doing the skill, and then they can critique that shot to see the points that they did well that they need to follow, so that they can do the same or use the same technique as the elite performer. The performer could also read information in books or online about what to do to have the perfect technique for the skill, so the main coaching points that they need. But sometimes the skill can be quite subjective, so therefore your coach might tell you to do it one way, but an elite performer might have a different technique because they just prefer doing it that way. It's easier for them. Maybe they use a different hand, or there could be many reasons. For example, in football there are many different techniques you can use to pass the ball, and they're all correct, but it is you who decides which one you want to use. So for example, you can pass with your inside your foot, outside of your foot, you can chip it, you can play it along the ground, you can curl it in the air, so it's subjective. There are 3 stages of a shot at goal in football: preparation, execution, recovery. For preparation, you would lift your head up to see where the goalkeeper is and any defenders, and then you would knock the ball slightly in front of you so you can have a bit of a run up to the ball before you strike it. Then you need to plant your weaker foot next to the ball, give you balance, and point towards the goal with your left arm and lean back slightly, but not too much, otherwise the ball will fly over the bar. For execution, you would put your head over the ball and pull your stronger leg back to gain power, then strike through the middle of the ball, aiming for either of the corners by pointing your arm and your body towards the corners. Try to keep the ball low and in the corner, but strike through the ball to hit it powerfully. For recovery, you would follow through the ball with your right leg and look up to see where your shot went, and then run towards where you shot the ball, so that if the keeper spills the ball or it rebounds back off the post, you can put the ball into the net and score. Data collection. Coaches can collect data live by watching their performer complete the skill and then comparing it to an elite performer completing the skill, or literature explaining the skill, and then they can see if their performer is doing the same things or what is missing from their performer's skill. However, the best way to collect data is by videoing the performer, and then the coach can use software to re-watch their performer and compare it to the perfect model. A piece of software that the coach can use is Slow Pro software, which is a free app you can get for your iPhone. This allows the coach to really slow down the video footage of the performer doing the skill. Therefore, they can break the skill down into different and smaller parts and compare it to the perfect model easily, and they can individually look at each stage of the skill and work out if it needs work on. So for example, in a football shot, they can work out the preparation first, and once they've nailed the preparation, it'll make it much easier for them to nail their execution, because they will have the correct preparation. Then they can work on the execution individually, and so on. Another piece of software that a coach can use is Coach's Eye, which allows the coach to really slow down videos of the performers completing a skill, and the coach can also draw on the video, so he can pinpoint exactly where the performer's technique has gone wrong. So he can draw on the image what the skill should look like, and he can draw where the body, say if their arm is in the wrong place or their head's too far forward, something like that, he can draw where the head should be and the difference between where it is and where it should be. This will allow the performer to easily know where they went wrong and what, because if you just do the skill and do it wrong, you can't see in the mirror what your body looks like and what your body positioning is wrong. So if you have this, you can easily tell what you need to do, if you need to tilt your head back more, if you need to pull your arm further up, something like that. The software also allows the coach and performers to share videos wirelessly on a site, which means that the coach can give the performers stuff to work on outside of sessions, so that they can come to the sessions prepared, and this will mean they will improve faster, which is very good for a large squad, as the coach won't be able to get round to every single player in the squad, so people can find out what they need to do better on their tablet or their phone, and then they can practice that individually in partners or on their own in sessions, or if they want to do extra work, they know what they need to work on. However, this is quite expensive, as it is a bit expensive, but not that expensive, but it still costs money. So for if you're a local tennis player or just you, it's going to be quite expensive for you to do that. But if you're on a team, it won't be that bad if you split the cost. So that is quite a good one to use, as it's in the middle of the price range. Unlike Dartfish, which is very expensive and only really around elite level teams will be able to use it. So like Sunday League football teams, local basketball teams won't be able to use Dartfish, as it is too expensive. Dartfish allows the coach to see instant statistics for the performer in the game, and they can break the game down. For example, in football, they can break it down for performers to key passes, shots on goal, tackles, sprints, distance covered, stuff like that, so they know exactly what the performer's doing. So if the performer's just having loads of sprints but they haven't had much distance covered, then maybe you need to work on their stamina. Or if they're making loads of tackles and interceptions but not many passes or shots, then maybe you need to realise that they need to go forward a bit more. But this obviously varies on their position. It allows the coach to merge videos, so the coach could have his performer doing the skill on half the screen and the other half could be the perfect model. This is very good because it clearly shows the difference between the performer doing the skill and the exact perfect model. So it's an exact comparison rather than looking back at your video and the perfect model. You can pause them side by side to see the exact differences. It will give the performer a much greater idea of what they're either doing wrong or right or need to do next. However, as I said, Dartfish is quite expensive and only really professional teams will be able to afford it. Box out rebound perfect model. So for the box out rebound perfect model, to prepare, the player needs a ready low position with bent knees to create a large low centre of mass, to create a larger base of support. They need to be on their toes and looking at the ball and also around at the player a bit. They need to have a wide base to stop their opponent going around them, and they need to make themselves big with their arms out. They need to be strong, head up, and use their peripheral vision. So the three main coaching points will be low, ready position to create that large centre of mass, wide base to stop performer going around you, and make yourself big with your arms and look at the ball. For the execution stage, the performer should use their forearm to block any one trying to come in. They need to get touch or contact to know where their performer is. They need to plant their feet wider than the opposing player so that they can't get round them to get to the ball. They need to pivot so that they can see anyone around them that's trying to steal the ball, and spread their arms out really wide as they can to stop the performer getting past. So the three coaching points would be touch, contact, plant feet wide, obviously to stop the opponent getting around you, and pivot, stop so you know where everyone is on the court. For recovery, the performer should keep their elbows out to stop the ball getting nicked in front of them by the other team. On the way down, they should look around to see what players are around them. Land with a big, wide stance. Pivot away from the defender so they can start a counter-attack down the court by dribbling or releasing the ball to another teammate. So the 3 coaching points for recovery would be elbows out, look around on the way down, and pivot from defender. So now I'm going to compare Riley to the perfect performer, which was Blake Griffin. So the things that Riley did the same as Blake Griffin. The good things were for preparation, he had a low ready position with bent knees, which are quite wide to create a large base of support. He has contact, so he knows where a passer is, just like Blake Griffin has here. However, Riley's arms could be a bit wider, like Blake's are, because his arms are quite narrow, so passer could get in round the side and steal the ball, or get in front of him by getting round the side of him, because he's still quite narrow with his arms. For execution, the things Riley did well compared to Blake is that his hands were spread around the ball, so it gives him good grip on the ball, stops passer it makes it much harder to knock the ball out of his hands because he has a strong grip on it. The ball's stuck in between his hands. However, his elbows are out quite a bit, so it stops passer from getting in under the ball, and Riley is protecting the ball really well. However, he needs to be looking round like Blake is to see where his opponents are, because he doesn't actually know where passer could be, because he's not actually looking around, he's looking straight at the board. He could also try and pivot to one side a bit more so that he has a way out, rather than then he has to decide which way to go around passer. If he pivots, say, to the right or the left, then he can go that way easily, or dummy to go that way and go back the other way. Whereas now he's making it quite easy for passer to follow where he's going. And finally, for the recovery, the things Riley's doing well compared to Blake is that Riley has quite a wide stance and bent knees, which allow him easily to gain power or easily turn away from his opponent. His hands are spread around the ball quite tight, and it's quite tight into his body to prevent it getting nicked by passer, like Blake is doing here. So that's good. However, the elbows could be quite a lot wider, and his arms out a bit more to stop pass from getting in and under to steal the ball off Riley, like Blake is doing. And he needs to be looking round more to see where other players are, because he's just looking at the wall, so he won't know if he can play the ball off or dribble past, and he's still kind of facing the wall, so he hasn't decided which side he's going, so it makes it much easier for passer to block his run. So he needs to pivot to a side rather than just straight to the wall. The advantages are that the technical model is split into phases, which allows the coach to look at each part of the skill individually so that he can develop each part on its own. It gives us very detailed analysis of the coaching points, which is good because it means that we can obviously develop the performer much more. It allows us to refine our training methods so that we can have much better training, so therefore the performer's ability improves. We can film and replay the skills to show the player, gives them visual guidance, which helps some learners who may be visual learners or not seen themselves perform before.